Meet Calavene, a half-elf tiefling who is learning to master the way of the blade. Our young intrepid adventurer, once a simple barman in the city of Easthaven, head west to the frontier settlement of Noldrin to start a new life. After taking several contracts to earn some gold, Calavene became addicted to the life of adventure, seeking fortune and glory, the thrill of battle, and claiming justice, sparked a side of him he never knew he had. On a bounty for a local drake herder, Calavene came across a cougar cub. Finding the parents had been mauled by a drake, our young hero took in the cub, calling him Nameless. The two have been inseparable ever since. Calavene was caught by slavers in the lands known as the Shattered Sands. It's here he became a gladiator, and now fights for his freedom. Meet Tyrius, once a paladin and inquisitor of the Solar Empire. Tyrius fled his homeland after uncovering a terrible secret of his nation's ruler. This led to the end of his allegiance to his nation and losing the life he once had. Heading to the eastern freelands, angry and disillusioned, Tyrius took up his blade as a mercenary, spending many years as a hired sword, turning his back on his former god's divinity. In his travels, he came across a cave, once part of a temple to a god of truth and justice. It was here he came across the teachings of Homvor, a god believed slain during the Great Shattering. Tyrius now pledges his life not to a god, but an ideal, helping those in need and channeling the lessons of Homvor to protect those who cannot protect themselves and to aid the peoples of Kratoria. Welcome to the Kratorian Chronicles. Tyrius, the last thing you felt was a club connecting with your jaw as you turned around to investigate what was coming up behind you. When you come to, you can feel motion and movement. Your eyes open very briefly, and you can see the sky, and you can see what looks like a wooden cage around you. And you lose consciousness, and you come backwards and forwards a couple of times as your mind starts to grasp reality. You still feel dehydrated, despite gulping as much water as you could, and you have a sense that time has passed. Your vision unblurs, and you see what looks like a sandy-haired halfling, kind of looking at you and kind of just checking if you're okay. He has kind of that sandy blonde hair. He's wearing like a bit of a robe, like a bit of a duster, and you can see a bit of a tunic underneath. He looks completely out of place. Almost like a scholar or an academic. Very clean cut for someone in the middle of the fucking desert.
Is he in the cage with me?
Yes. He's kind of sitting. It's almost like you realize as you come to, you look around and you can see some robed individuals outside of this wagon kind of following it, walking alongside. And you see this.
Gotcha.
The halflings are always a difficult one, even for someone as experienced of yourself. Is this guy 30? Is he 60? They kind of age a bit differently. Oh, you're okay. Can you hear me, friend?
I can. Where am I?
Well, you are in the Shattered Sands, that's for sure. Where exactly? I do not know.
What if I tap the cage and what about this? What am I in right now? What is?
Yes. It seems our captors are slavers, and we're on the way to be sold at market, I believe.
You seem awfully upbeat about this.
Well, I'm just trying to be positive in a positive situation, I suppose. And you can kind of see his facade drop as you've brought attention to it.
Can I do an examination of my surroundings of the bars? What they're made out of?
Absolutely. They are made of both wood and steel. You kind of place your hand on one and you just check it. And one of the robed individuals, you can only kind of see his eyes, the robes. And he kind of just smacks your hand, wraps it gently, like, hey! And he just kind of smacks it. But you do feel it, and it's very sturdy. Just a cage as well, like it's a box cage, and there is a latch and a lock at the back of the wagon.
Okay. I look back at him and I extend my hand that still has a hand, and I say, "Curious."
Oh, Dustin Jurud, but please call me Dusty.
How did you wind up here?
I was on an expedition. Actually, I was endorsed by someone who's shown great interest in ancient cultures and artifacts from Skyreach, a private donator, you could say, and me and my team made our way out here looking for an ancient civilization. It's very interesting, actually, and he starts to just go into this rant.
Yeah.
As if he's not in a cage in the middle of the desert.
Right.
He fills you in that basically him and his team were unearthing stone tablets in these ancient ruins that speak of an ancient culture that some used to pray to a blood god. He gets very into these strange tangents that you have not too sure what he's talking about. Something about lizard folks once claimed dominion over everything around here. There used to be a jungle. They prayed to some blood god. The blood god deceived them. It's just with your mental state, it's a lot to take in when you're like, he gives you during this conversation too, one of the slavers can see that you're losing focus and kind of raps on the cage and passes you a water skin. So they're very much trying to keep you alive, and there's also some very meager rations given to you. Just some dried, like a really piss-poor attempt of dried jerky. You know, it could be dried camel. You have no idea, but you take it nonetheless. And some kind of stale, not moldy, but stale bread, hard tack bread.
Okay.
And Dustin, it's kind of like, it's all very interesting if you're in a tavern having a cold one, but with what Dustin's going on about, he's just going on and on about his work. And
I politely I'm like, Dustin, where's the rest of your team?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I kind of broke off from the group to examine some ruins, and who knows, maybe they were captured as well, or I don't know.
You know who these men are? I kind of gesture to the cloaked people.
Personally, on a person-to-person level, no. I've just been in the wagon a couple of days longer than you.
Okay. I turn to one of the guy who was rapping and handed me the water, and I'd like to make a persuasion check because I know he won't be very forthcoming. Sure. But I kind of ask him. I say like, "Hey, where are we headed?" Natural one, good start.
He yes, welcome back, baby.
Yeah, it's actually quite fitting for me to be dehydrated and delirious. I'm like, hey, where are we going?
I love a player, or Pat, what is it? Fudging the roles for role play.
That was too good. That's one.
He just keeps his eyes forward. He doesn't hit you back or anything. He's used to it. Yeah. You get a feeling that this is his day-to-day, and you don't talk to the prisoners.
What I would like to do I'm gonna just kind of accept my recent. Now I'm in new bondage, so I'm just gonna prep my spells. I'm gonna meditate and kind of just get myself sorted
Sure.
in silence and just ignore Dusty. Like I'm just gonna put my head down and I'm just gonna concentrate to make sure I have my spells ready in the event that something.
Not a problem. It's on that note that for Tyrius, the days are slow and uneventful. The only big thing to happen was you saw a couple of the guards, and to lay a bigger picture, you kind of outnumbered 10 to 1. There's a lot of these slavers around. There's camels and donkeys kind of drawing other carts. But you look around, maybe this wasn't a big haul for them. There's only you and Dusty and 2 empty carts behind you. And about, just to kind of a bit of a time skip here, they kind of feed you, ration you. It's like they're trying to make you look stronger, like bring you some strength back into you. Dusty just, every conversation he has is about some ancient culture somewhere. You just figure he's some kind of archaeologist. He's a friendly enough guy, but very unaware of possibly the impending danger of his predicament. A little bit aloof, thinking that things will just be okay. A little bit too optimistic, maybe. You do notice a day later, the cool air comes in and you make camp. They keep you in your cages. They still let you take toilet breaks. There's still a humanity to them. But there's, you are still treated like an object that needs maintenance. You do have another caravan join up with you the next day, almost as if some kind of rallying point. And the caravan gets a little bit longer, and you can't quite see because they're trailing behind you. There's bigger cages. And these cages have exotic animals in them. You see a large feathered ostrich type bird in one of them. And you and Dusty kind of can't help but assume that, this must be another part of their operation. You make camp again that night, and you're kind of kept closer to these animals, and you see hyenas, and these are kind of desert dwelling creatures, even some of those ants, that ant that you saw. You see a couple of those, and they're in kind of smaller cages.
Fucking ants.
Oh, Jay knows all about them.
Knows them well.
He knows them well. Let's say Jay's actually been through a similar situation. And it's very uneventful, and like I said, they treat you poorly, but they don't go out of their way unless provoked. Yes, they kind of get over Dusty because he doesn't shut up. And a few times they actually knocked on the cage, hey, enough. They do speak common, but they kind of whisper a bit where they want to keep you
and what are the races?
You can't tell. Or? You can't really tell, but humanoid, yes. Some have darker skin than others, and it looks like a mixture of body types as well. You even see a couple of halfling-sized slavers as well. And when the convoy comes together, yes, there's 20 of them now, and only 2 of you. It's been about a week. And it's been ebbs and flows, and up sand dunes, through rocky ravines, all sorts of things. You come over a sand dune, and you begin to descend. And I will this might work better for the group chat. This is just a rough image of what you see. You kind of crest this sand dune, and as you look down, you see buildings and tents, an oasis in the middle of this kind of canyon that kind of opens up. And it's the canyon around this settlement is providing a lot of cover.
Okay.
Natural cover. And it's just this mini city out of nowhere. There was no sign of it. There were no clear landmarks or indications of its actual location. You kind of crested a dune, saw some canyons in the distance, and you were there. And you'd hear for the first time, one of the slavers has kind of been pretty much in your peripheral the entire trip. Welcome to the Slavers Sanctum and your new home. You crest and you come down. You kind of veer to the left and you see a large velvet tent. Made like red. Can't help but catch your eye. You see people for the first time. Robes, mainly. Like desert robes and covering their head. Or you can see what looks like a lot of almost sailors from a distance. Or maybe pirates. They're kind of wearing the leather boots and the cutlasses, and a few of them have got the hats. But even a lot of those have kind of got some kind of duster thrown over them to protect them, because this harsh sunlight has been unrelenting. They have protected you in your cage to a degree, but the piercing heat is unescapable. You make your way to this red tent that stands out from the rest. To the right, you can see what looks like a stage. And there's like a mass of people there. You can hear hollering, and you can see what looks like an auction. With an auctioneer standing up there pointing to people in the crowd. And you do see different races of people standing on this stage. This is definitely called the Slavers Sanctum for a reason. And roll me a quick history check, Pat.
Natural 20.
That was me and Jay last session, actually.
Ones and 20s all day.
Critical measure.
It all makes perfect sense to you now. Of course. You were just maybe too delirious or too tired. Yeah. This is the Slavers Sanctum. When you came from the Western Realms, and the ship that you took over here, and the kind of, shady individuals, you've heard of this place. Pirates and really unlikables kind of cluster here. This is like a city based on a black market. Anything that you could want or need that is not available legally, this is where people from all across Kratoria come. You've even heard back in your soldier days, devils and demons would come here to make certain trades. It's almost like a neutral territory that everyone kind of respects. They need this place. It's kind of like that link between the realms. And it's everything. Prostitution, drugs, slavery. As you come down, you kind of glance over, you look past the kind of large oasis that has a lot of buildings and architecture around it. And you look past that and you see the large arena that you have heard of, that the gladiators fight in. And it's simply called the Arena. And it is known all across Kratoria. It's one of the capitals. If you take gambling seriously, this is where you come. And it does draw people of all kinds here. You make your way in your wagon to this velvet red tent. The cage unlocks. 5 of these robed men surround you. 2 in the front, 1 on each side, and 2 behind you, so 6. And one of them gently, not violently, but puts pressure on your back to lead you. You are chained at this point. They've chained you up at your feet and at your hands. They lead you to the tent. And there's kind of a bit of a drape there. And it immediately hits you. The hot sand on your feet, your bare feet. And this smell of incense floods in as soon as I pull back this drape. Like this, these smells of, burning tobacco. These exotic kind of oils just come through and hit you. A taste of civilization. You walk into this well-lit room. Oil burning in all corners. And a carpet of red, soft under your feet. And in the center of the room, you see 2 pedestals. One with a broom, one with a sword, both made of wood. In the back of the tent, you see a large Goliath man. As you are unchained, you feel a clamp around your neck. This metallic, necklace. Kind of pressure, but it's not uncomfortable. You've now been unchained, and you hear this heavy voice. Deep voice. Kind of almost skewered in shadow. Choose.
Alright, so there's a wooden broom and a wooden sword, huh? What am I choosing?
You can't help but feel, with the environment that you're in, if you choose the sword because of that natural 20, you're choosing to fight and be a gladiator. And you have heard that gladiators do win their freedom. And the broom may suggest a life of servitude as a slave.
Okay. Alright, I'll take the sword then.
You reach for the sword. This large individual steps forward from the shadows. This guy's got to be joking, right? And he looks to the back of the room, and you can see a man smoking like a large pipe as he kind of lights this pipe, and the embers kind of light his face in the dark a little bit. This cripple wants to fight in our arena. Are you sure about this? And he looks at this, what you can see to be an older man. Bit of a white goatee, white hair, very well dressed in these silken robes. The man says nothing. This human man. The Goliath steps forward, looking down at you, this 7.5 foot, nearly 8 foot individual. You standing there with your free hand with this wooden sword in it. And a stump where your other hand should be. You can't help but understand where his humour comes from.
Also missing an eye. So.
And an eye.
That's not looking so good.
Your sandy hair kind of covers a bit of your face, and it's matted and dirty. You're still dirty. You can't expect full price for this, you know that. And he's not looking at you, he's looking at the And you kind of just hear this... What can I say? It wasn't the best hunt this time, but a deal's a deal. We have brought you fresh meat. Even if he is fed to the monsters in the arena, you're still going to make money, yes? We're not paying full price for this cripple. Newix! $45%. Take it or leave it. 45%? It costs more money to bring him here. We have an ongoing business here, don't we? 45%. Nah, so be it. He kind of storms out of the room. Enjoy your fresh meat! In his kind of bit of a sour business transaction. Alright. Let's see what you got, cripple. And this Goliath just stands there. And he comes at you. Roll me a dexterity check.
16.
You can't help it instinctually as this big Goliath just comes down very basic arc. He just wants to see what you're capable of. You come up, your Solarian training like that just comes up and you catch the blade and bounce it back. Kind of looks at you, looks at the old man in the corner. And then just, again, he comes at you. This time I would like you to roll me a strength check.
15.
He comes down, this time kind of an overhead arc down on top of you. Even though you've only got one hand, you have to compensate. And you kind of come up and meet him. And the wood makes that kind of like noise of impact. And you kind of... And he's smiling at you as he looks down and he applies pressure. And you're kind of pushing with your one arm. And one question you can answer me, Tyrius. Was this your dominant hand that got taken? It would have been.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, because I'd be coming at him. I had a great sword, so I guess it could have been either. I don't know which one he cut off.
It's up to you.
It'll be the...
It would be your left, wouldn't it?
It would have been the left, yeah, because that's the one that would be on the bottom of... Yeah,
that makes sense.
My left.
And you kind of push back. Give me another strength check.
5.
The fatigue, the desert, everything. You're nowhere near your normal strength. You fall to one knee, and then your wooden blade kind of gets pressed on your chest as this massive bodybuilder of a Goliath is just standing over you, and you just hear Newix in the back. Enough! Save him for the arena. This man, the Goliath, obediently steps back. Respectfully. You make your way back to your feet. I know a veteran when I see one. And this man, this human, looks like he's in his maybe late 60s. Solarian? Am I right?
I nod.
I can tell. The way you stand, that righteousness just emanating from you. The attitude. I know one when I see one. I've fought by many, and many have fallen. But they always fight hard and fight to win. Greytox, do not underestimate this warrior. Use your head. He will fight, and he may die, but this holy warrior will put on quite a show, won't you, friend?
Just there.
Yes, you'll make a good addition to the arena. Take him, Greytox. You see this? And the Goliath wrists his wrist up. And he points to your neck, the collar. Do you need a demonstration or do you understand what I'm saying? And he makes it quite clear.
Yeah. I understand.
I guess the cripple's brain still works, Newix. Alright. They lead you to a cart. Newix stays at the tent. Greytox kind of puts you in another... This time it's uncaged. Just the back of a wagon with a donkey. And you guys make your way across and through a market district. And there's just insanity. Just weapons on sale. Arcane weaponry. Just straight drugs being sold out of, like, vendors. Women. Obviously sold into prostitution. Other kind of stands for slaves to be sold on. Exotic animals and monsters. You see what looks like a small green-scaled dragon in a 6x6 foot cage, like a young one. And just a crowd around it bidding rapidly for it. Just insanity. Smells as well, like your mouth starts salivating. And as it does, Greytox kind of turns as he's leading this donkey, as he's walking with the wagon, throws like a knob of the end of like what looks like some kind of salami in your direction. Bit of protein. Just throws it in the back, doesn't say anything. You start getting led and you can see, as you make your way through this market district, what looks like a mud compound. Like mud brick compound. Kind of like a brownish colour. And we start making the way towards these large gates. You hear Grey talk. Alright, open up! You got fresh meat! The gates just open. Calavene. We cut to you. Several hours earlier. You come to. In your bed. The last thing you remember was passing out. Your body pushed to its new limits. You can see some bread and stew, the smell awakening you by the bed. You hear the crunch of an apple, and you see Tristalan in the doorway to your room. Oh, Calavene, you are full of tricks, aren't you?
Oh, it still fucking hurts. I'll tell you that. As I sit up and go straight for the food next to my bed.
You do have that smell of the red ichor that they would rub on you. Like, it's still very, like, prominent, and you feel it's done some good healing. But yes, the hits that you took in the arena were like nothing you've ever felt before. You can still feel your jaw humming. You know, your ribs in particular, where you just continue to receive a battering. And
goddamn beating.
Goddamn beating. And I am proud of you, my friend. That was phenomenal. Not once in a million years would anyone think that someone like you would get that far. No offense. But
I had my doubts as well. But I don't know. Something changed, I guess.
We have much to discuss. We have much to discuss as he walks off and continues to eat his apple. It's like he's pondering something. Like, you've proven something.
I'll see you later.
You've proven something to everybody in the arena. This young, weedy, devil-born who came in a couple of months ago has really kind of earned his place in the roster now. And it's at that point you hear, "Fresh meat! Open up!" You make your way like everyone does.
With my food and drink still in my hands, I'll waddle on out to see what's going on.
It's always a spectacle, It's usually on clockwork, this time every fortnight, roughly. There'll be either fresh meat or a new slave to the compound to help clean and whatnot. You see Greytalk standing as he walks in. "Oh," and he notices you in the crowd. "Huh, I thought I at least would have put you out for a couple of days. Good to see you on your feet, kid."
I'm surprised you're still standing as well, big man.
He just smiles at you. "Everyone! Looks like we found ourselves a holy man!" Tyrius. As the gates open, you see a swarm of about 12, 14 individuals kind of shuffle into the main courtyard of this compound. In front of you, you see this kind of red dirt. You see training dummies. You see archery targets in the back. You see a large stone golem off to the left.
Active or just looking at
just standing there, deactivated, is probably the best term. That's what you can see in front of you at the moment. "Now, he's a cripple, so go easy on him, yeah?" As he's kind of sarcastically introducing you to the group. Tyrius, you see in the faces, you see a couple of orcs. There's two orcs that look very similar, but with very different hair, like almost related, like brothers, twins even. You see another orc, a bit different to them, standing off, like a kind of clique hanging out. You see a drow, which is very rare. You see a elf, kind of chewing on, like munching on an apple, as he kind of takes you in. Everyone's just inquisitive with the new kid at school. And you see...
Am I the only one being brought in?
Today, yes.
Okay.
You see a humanoid. They are kind of rare, but they're around. They're from a place called the Valley of Eternal Blossoms. What you know is a samurai or a ronin. You've had dealings with them. They're around. And he's kind of standing there with his arms folded in garb, you could say, that's quite tattered. And a few other individuals. You even see a blue-scaled dragonborn kind of dart, like this mesh of people. "Right. Calavene. Crystalline. Give him the tour. I got shit to do." And he kind of, he leaves, and the big gates close behind you. You kind of hear from the crowd, you hear the orc go, "One fucking hand, good fucking luck." And he just kind of walks off. And everyone kind of disperses, kind of unimpressed with this tattered old man missing an eye and a hand. You just hear someone else say something like hyena meat or something and just kind of walk off.
Alright.
I walk on over. I shuffle on over. By this time I've finished my drink, so I've just got a bowl of whatever, the stew in my hand. And I walk up to Tyrius and I introduce myself. I reach my hand out. Calavene.
Then my hand, Tyrius. Pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Looking a little bit beaten up.
I have had a long journey. Seen
I
better days.
know the journey. Cages, dry ass sand.
So torture equipment. Yes, that journey.
Yeah.
Cages.
Oh.
What is this place?
This is the arena. It's not much more I can say than that. Yeah, you can say that. We fight, and well, I guess the most important thing you want to know is how to get out. So far, I've racked up myself 25 points. I'm not sure how many I need to get out. Yeah, that's how they do things around here. We need to fight, behave, earn the money. They give us points, and we can buy our way out. That's the gist of it that I've gotten so far in these couple of months.
I'm curious, in all your time here, have you ever actually seen anybody become free?
I know of one. That big fella that brought you in. He was a gladiator here. But some reason he's back. I meant to ask him about that actually. Why he's still kicking around, leading us like this.
Tristalan is chewing on that apple, idly listening to your conversation. And he's kind of chewing and he goes, well, if you have the right contacts here in town, you can make a lot of gold.
Gold? What good is gold for slaves?
Well, they bet on us, see?
Oh. So we don't see any of it.
Oh.
They...
Oh. No, we don't.
Yeah. As I assumed.
Tristalan chirps up a bit. He goes, on that note, Calavene, you do see quite a few people go free. I remember a Valmirian of the name of Axton bought his freedom not too long before you came. It takes time, but it's, for people like us, quite doable. And he looks at you, Tyrius, and can you fight, sir?
I have fought many battles, and I have many more to fight.
You seem to be at a obvious disadvantage. Does that impede you at all?
I'll be just fine.
Of course, I mean not to pry. And you do have a feeling from this elf that he's maybe a bit different to the rest of the riffraff around here. It's quite punctual, quite respectful. Yeah. Oh, Tristalan, by the way. Nice to meet you, Tyrius.
Pleasure. Is there a place I can rest and is there food or water?
Yes, of course.
Let's go take him to get something to eat.
I agree. This way.
Thank you very much.
As I walk you through, and I'll shoot this through to you guys on Messenger. Yeah. You have it, Jay, I believe.
Yep. Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. This one's for you, Pat.
Okay.
Because let's just say you may be spending some time here.
Okay.
Tristalan walks you through, and you can see ahead of you, training dummies, that large golem. Tristalan kind of finishes his apple at this point, and he kind of throws the apple core over this. It's an open area that you see in front of you. You can see the sky, and he kind of throws the apple core over the wall. That's probably about 20 feet tall.
Like a training ground?
Yes, sir. As you can see to the left here, we have Archie, our lovable training golem. I'm sure Great Ox will put you through that gauntlet sooner rather than later. As you can see, we've got some standard training dummies, some archery targets and whatnot. We do have some training equipment, some stones and logs and whatnot for those who into their physical training. We also have the bathhouse and latrine, as you can see, and he kind of points to the right. We have a general commons area here, and you can see some still kind of outside. You can see a couple of benches. You see a few chess games and cards kind of laying out. This area is undercover, like it's a bit of a tarp above it. This is their day off, and you can actually see an orc throw down some cards, and he goes, "Tusks, I know you're fucking cheating. Every fucking hand." And you guys walk past that, and then he goes, "Up here is simply storage. The Greytox lets us in here from time to time if we want to change weaponry and whatnot." And you do see some more training dummies and archery targets and a plethora of odds and ends. Bit of what looks like food storage as well. He walks you inside and you can see what looks like a mess area. Very standard fare. Okay. There's a few people reading some books in here as well. As I mentioned, this is free time for them. And a few people eating some... It's probably about mid-morning now. And people are just kind of, picking at some food and some leftovers. And then Tristalan kind of wings you around to what looks like, as you can see, a hallway with a lot of rooms. I believe the second one from the end on the left... Make yourself in your new home, my friend. If you need anything, please ask me or Calavene.
How is food or drink acquired?
Help yourself. There's a main mess up at the end there. We will be having... today is our off day. I think you could see nobody's really training and they're resting. There will be some cold breakfast left over. We will be having dinner as well later this evening.
Thank you.
Yes.
Definitely don't got to worry about food in this place. Pretty much get your helpings.
One positive.
Well,
yeah,
it isn't.
I agree.
I'm gonna then go straight to the food area to gather up food and just eat as much as I can before trying to get back to my bed.
Not a problem. Tristalan follows you. Just because he's kind of doing the introduction. Look,
right.
I know it seems tempting, and there's some very capable individuals here in the compound. If you try to escape, it will be for naught.
I kind of tap my collar, and I'm like, I'm assuming this does something.
And he taps at his, and Calavene also. You have noticed all of the gladiators have these. Yes. A little before my time, they attempted a breakout, and how these collars work, either as punishment, Greytox can actively use this as well as Newix, and when you leave the compound without permission, basically, the further you get from the compound, the higher the charge of magic or power or whatever it is in these damned infernal things. No one has gotten more than 100 meters or 200 meters without perishing. But, as we have informed you, and as I have seen for myself, freedom is an option in this world. It's hard fought, but possible. Newix, I may as well give you a little debrief. Your new master, you could say, was once a gladiator himself. The old man. His day was much more savage. He does look after us to a degree, would you say, Calavene?
Yeah, he takes care of us. Like a grandpa, you could say, but an angry one.
Yes, I was going to maybe not go as far as grandpa, but yes, I understand your meaning, Calavene. He came from a darker time of the arena, and if you fight well, he respects you, and he rewards you in his own ways. And he wants...
But he chose to come back and continue running the same thing he experienced and make others endure it.
Yes.
Rather than attempt to stop it.
This is correct, yes. He profits greatly from our deaths. Yes. He won his freedom and killed his former captor and then took over. Why? Gold, I would say. Gold and power. I will not say that he's a good man by any stretch of the imagination. But apparently our living conditions have improved because he learnt as his days as a gladiator, the more he looks after us, the greater his net profit is if we survive, you see. I see what you're getting at, Tyrius, and you are correct. It's for his own ends.
Fair enough. I will remember that.
That's enough from me, and I welcome you, sir, and I look forward to fighting with you.
Thank you. Oh, how are the fights determined? Do we have to battle each other?
Tristalan smiles, like a bit of an in-joke, and looks at Calavene. Not regularly, but it does happen, doesn't it, my friend?
It happens.
I'm going to
Occasionally.
I'm going to leave you two to get acquainted. I have some matters to deal with. And he kind of points to his crutch and heads towards the privy.
I take it you fought him, or were forced to?
I got to watch him, actually. They had a, yesterday it would have been, for me, was the Battle Royale. And they apparently have it, I don't know how often, but maybe I was just in time to get in for one.
Lucky
and they
you.
formed us up into, they formed us into groups, and we battled each other, and each group that, the victor of the one group out of 4 would verse the next, and so on. So, it was non-lethal. I don't know.
So the battles aren't
Blunt
always
weapons.
to the death?
No, not this one in particular. They somehow blunted our weapons, so we couldn't fatally wound each other.
Just for the spectacle.
But, yeah. But usually you'll find it's Saturdays. Our 6th day, they call it, is when we battle in the arena against, creatures. Different creatures every time. I don't know how they acquire these creatures, but
it
could be anything from...
acquire us.
Yeah, similar to that. Could be kill giants to golems, stone golems.
My God.
So, yeah.
The resources
That's how
that go
we-
into this.
It's insane. But, that's my knowledge to it so far, is you survive and you get fed, and I guess that's how we get out of here.
And we escape. Well, simple in theory. I'm sure much harder in execution.
I can tell you much harder in the real world, yeah. You could say I'm lucky so far.
Lucky, perhaps skilled. What is your background? Where do you hail from?
Well, I come from a little city on the water called East Haven. That's where I started. I was a barman there, trying to provide for my family, my mother and siblings. I just couldn't get anywhere, so ended up out here on my adventures to different places to try and earn some gold. And I was captured, unfortunately. Maybe a similar circumstance to yourself, out in these hot sands.
Yes. The tempting oasis turned out to be much less of a refuge.
What about yourself?
That is a long tale, and I am too tired right now to tell it all, but suffice to say I was once Solarian soldier, and had a falling out with them, you could say. Made my way here. Part of that, some of my past is irrelevant. I need to recover. I'm sorry. I'm too tired, dehydrated, and exhausted.
I understand. The days in are rough. Get some rest.
Thank you. With that, I'm gonna hit the rack after eating and drinking.
Let's do it.
couple of hours pass. You again have one of your infamous matches with Tristalan, Calavene, at the chessboard. You're starting to figure out a few more maneuvers and a few more tricks from him. You win a match, he wins 3, but you still won 1. A massive improvement. Later that day, Greytox comes back. As the gates open, he sees you and Tristalan playing a game. Calavene, come with me.
Sure thing, boss.
And he heads for the gates with you, which is highly unusual. At the gate, standing by, are Shinji and Ritzlak. You make your way out of the compound with those two in tow, with Greytox. You get into a wagon as a mid-afternoon.
I can still hear you there, Wire.
Yeah, no problem. And they take you... He takes you to this lavish building that you've never seen before. There's a water fountain, palm trees, a big gate. You see servants busying themselves, gardeners, housemaidens, running around this beautiful, immaculate, desert-designed building. Almost like this mini palace. You make your way into the main foyer. And Newix is there. Sitting on this really, really fine upholstery. This red velvet colour, which is a bit of a theme of his. You all did excellent work. Last night, I was impressed. And impressing me is something hard to do. Especially with what I've seen and what I've done in my time. And he just looks at you. This awkward silence, almost intentional. There was a reason for last night's event. I have a competitor from the Dreadwaters coming to the Slavers Sanctum with his best gladiators. This is an old rivalry. There will be a tournament between my roster and his. And I have word that he will be bringing the very best. He wants to humiliate me and my house here. Greytox will be training you for the foreseeable future until their arrival, which could be within 2, 3, 4 weeks. They're making their way up the river Styx as we speak. You will be chosen as my best fighters. Greytox was a test, Calavene, and you failed it. But it was impressive nonetheless. Shinji, your ways of the blade are unique. I will give you that. And Ritzlak, with your drow savagery, will prove to be very, very useful. I do not have intel on his fighters yet, but I will, and when I find out, Greytox will fill you in with the details. If you can win this for me, I am willing to grant you your freedom. That is how important this is to me. If you lose, you will be punished. That is all.
I stare at the other ones with like kind of a, "Are you serious? Our freedom? Look." And then head back to the compound with Greytox.
Ritzlak and Shinji, in their very stoic ways, don't say much to the estate or on the way back. And neither does Greytox. Even for Greytox, his eyes were a little bit wide with that announcement. Considering it's his second in command, you can't help but feel he may not have even known himself why that tournament was held yesterday. But it seems like he was judging all of his fighters to see who was the best. Because it's hard to judge the gladiators against monsters all the time. Monsters are different. Monsters are, unpredictable in their own ways. But when you're fighting humanoid on humanoid, it's a different kind of thing. Greytox does mumble a little bit on the way back to the compound about... Fuck. He kind of looks over to you guys and he goes... Don't expect any training blades in this tournament. This one's for keeps. He puts a lot of work into you guys. So losing you guys, even though he comes across as barbaric and somewhat savage in his drill sergeant-like position, you can tell he still cares about you. And you saw that in the tournament last night. He respected you even though you lost. And he's seen your development and how far you've come. Calavene. You put up one hell of a fight last night and Uix noticed. He drops Shinji and Ritzlak back at the gate, and the slaves let them back in. I got something to show you. He makes his way past the compound a little bit, and as you guys do your jogging drills with him, you do know there's a stable there with donkeys in it. And odds and ends. You see a cage. I remember you, asking about that cougar that came in with you. Nuix bought it with you. And he told me to feel free to come and see it a couple of times a week. And you see Nameless in a cage in one of the stables. You guys haven't seen each other for a couple of months.
And I give him a thankful nod. And I carefully approach the cage. Can I do like an animal handling check as I approach the cage?
There's no need. You see the cougar in adolescence now. He's grown so much since you last seen him. He's probably about this big now. Kind of more like a
small dog-ish, or like a dog size?
Yeah.
Alright.
And he just runs immediately to the cage and he makes eye contact with you and runs and immediately to the edge of the cage. And he's kind of like trying to... He's like...
Look how big you've gotten, man.
Greytox looks at you and says...
They've been feeding you the good shit?
Feel free to open the cage if you have that kind of bond. It's fine. And he looks at you and he goes... I know what it's like to have a companion. And you realize who Fluffy was this whole time. Remember the skull on the shoulder?
Oh, Damn, son.
I'll leave you two alone for a moment. And he just kind of walks over to... Greytox's attitude to you has changed a little bit. He's still authoritarian. He still doesn't let you have an inch, but he has that respect for you now. And he goes and he leans by the cart and kind of gives you your privacy as he looks off in the distance. Maybe thinking about one of his old friends.
And I open up the cage and I give the kitty a good scratch behind the ears and the chin.
He just nuzzles straight in. And like I mentioned, he has weight to him now. As he kind of comes in, there's a bit of resistance. As he kind of really pushes in.
And I keep patting him, saying, I'm glad they're feeding you, buddy. And I'll be able to get to see you more often.
He has that big cat vibrations coming from him as he purrs. And kind of licks at your fingers, and it's been a while.
Yeah. Awesome.
You probably spend a good, generous 15 minutes with him.
Yeah.
All right, kid. It's time to go back. If you want to see him during the week, you just let me know.
I appreciate that. And I nudge his little butt back into the cage.
He kind of looks at you longingly, not understanding why you're leaving. But
I'll be back. That's how it is.
You jump back on the cart, and it's not far. I mean, you know where the stables are. It's not far. So yeah. It could be quite reassuring to know that Nameless is not far.
Right there, yeah.
Greytox looks at you. I've been trying to convince Nuix that maybe the gladiators need a mascot, so leave it with me. And he gives you a big wink.
Alright, I get you.
Yeah. I know what it's like to have a friend that isn't necessarily humanoid. There's a strange, unwritten bond there between man and beast. And Fluffy, who you got to meet last night, he's still with me. I know he is.
He's just as badass as you are.
Ha! That's enough out of you. Right. And he opens up the gate back to the compound. I'll see you bright and early, and keep an eye on that holy man. I don't know how good of a fighter he's gonna be, but hey, Newick saw something in him. It's not up to me to question his instincts on these things.
I'm sure we'll see something.
Hey.
Sure of it.
I didn't see anything in you either. Alright, now get out of here.
I go and take a piss. Canon and real life.
Alright. Sirius.
Yeah. Sirius is feeling much revived now.
You do feel that life come back into you, the magic of a hot meal.
Yes. I know it well from having been in the field,
True.
So this is the idea I have for, Sirius's mindset. So he's now, his idea is he's going to, because now he knows what he needs to do. He has a short-term objective. He knows he hasn't really fought. So this is how I'm kind of thinking. He'd go from two-hand great fighting to, get me a long sword. I don't have a hand. Let me practice on these dummies and learn what it's like to maneuver without a hand and swing a sword with one arm. So I figured that's how he could get, the dueling feat and swap it out for the great fighting. And I also, what I like is the idea of him, however long this goes on for, but he would wake up early, and his commitment is, he's going to do his, military drill, push-ups, the fucking stump hand in one hand, trying to do pull-ups with only one arm. He's doing all the stuff he can to keep his strength and make sure he doesn't die and can get his freedom out of it. So that's kind of his mindset going into this.
Perfect. That's perfect. And on that note, it's quite an uneventful evening. Everybody comes into the mess. You catch a few eyes on you. You know what it's like, and you know what it's like, Pat, in real life. When you were serving, it's that similar thing. It's like they don't want to count you out because experienced warriors, and you do with your own experience. You catch a few people. You see that samurai-like warrior that you've heard of, these blade masters from the south. He catches you, right? That Tristalan earlier, you watch him knock a few arrows that evening as he's just kind of practicing with the drow. Gotcha. And the drow, you have a very... he's a lot more polite than you expected from your run-ins with the drows, but his fighting style, from what you hear, is savage. Who else? There's also this very tall, humanoid, bare-chested, long, dark hair, local of the Shattered Sands named Tugar, who's just arrogant and cocky, and you see him kind of standing over a lot of the other, especially when you're lining up for your food that evening, and he's just intimidating to everyone. And another orc you catch a name of Runak that came in with Calavene. Just arrogance and stupidity almost with how overbearing they are. So it's definitely not a gentleman's club here, but there's a mutual respect between some warriors, and you can tell who's the bottom of the food chain. There's a halfling with tattoos all over his face. There's a blue-scaled dragonborn. A lot of them. There's definitely there's a cliquey vibe here. There's these mini kind of squads. You see Calavene spending time with Tristalan and Ritzlak. And it's that evening when you guys have all sat down for the mess. You see this dwarf walk in. And he's kind of got a bit of a limp. Hey! What's up, fuckers? I'm back!
Hey, he's not dead! I didn't want you to hear me chewing hell obnoxiously.
You see, You see Brooke walk in, the dwarf. What you see, Pat, is this red-haired, tattoos on the side of his head. This really stout dwarf with a bit of a beard as well. This kind of red, flowing beard, that strong red. Oh, there's a couple of new faces as he looks around. Ritzlak stands up. And he kind of bows to his partner, Calavene. Welcome back, Brooke. It's good to see you again, my friend. It's good to see you too, you drow bastard. And he kind of knocks him in the thigh. Oh, what grub's on? And he just kind of disintegrates into the group at that point. Jay. Part of your clique is hanging out with Tristalan, Ritzlak, and Brooke. Brooke has a strange limp to him after the mauling of the displacer beasts. He kind of looks at you and he goes, well, lads, it's a bit of a pain in the arse, but looks like I won't be fighting side by side with yous for a while. That beast did a number on me. It's all right. And looks like Greytox has got me on light duties around the compound until I'm starting to feel a bit better.
Get your strength back. Sounds like we'll need you soon.
Oh, it takes a lot more than that to keep this dwarf down, doesn't it, boys? And he kind of looks around. Tyrius, you capture this kind of, positive kind of energy coming from this dwarf, very vocal character.
I'd say it's camaraderie I've witnessed within platoons and men in in a fight. or in that. So I can see like the squabbles, but also that. So it kind of makes me just like nod.
Tristalan looks at Brooke and he goes, "My friend, displace the beasts. You did just as good as anybody else in the compound. Don't let anybody tell you different. That was a poor matchup. Someone got greedy. Those sons of bitches." You were there, Calavene, when you saw Tristalan's face in the when you guys were in the holding cell. He couldn't believe that he would match as formidable as Brooke and Ritzlak are as a combination duo in the arena. That was just completely unfair.
Rough.
If there's nothing you guys want, the night continues. Everyone kind of starts, you play another game of chess with Brooke this time, Calavene. It's good to have him back. It's good to have that energy in the compound. There's a lot of stoic, tough guy warriors here, so it's nice to have a bit of revelry and positivity.
Yeah. For sure.
I think I'm gonna approach their table and just as I walk up, I'd be like, "You mind if I take a seat and observe?"
Please take a seat.
Oh.
And I introduce Brunak to Tyrius. So this guy's just come in today, Tyrius. And introduce Tyrius to Brunak.
Brooke reaches for your stub accidentally. Sorry, laddie.
Yeah, I'm still getting used to it too. It's more recent than I'd like to admit.
Well, he looks up at you and there's an exchange. Despite his outward, extroverted personality, you see the eyes of a warrior. And a dwarven warrior, which is rare. And even rarer, you noticed a drow and a dwarf that seem like close friends.
Yeah, because I remember Tom's character, he was trying to take back his thing from the drow, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
As you know, Loth Stand, Tyrius has been in the Eastern Freelands for many years now, so he knows the kind of conflict happening up there in the north, or to your east. And it's just a strange image to see a dwarf and a drow just sit next to each other playing chess and piss taking. Yeah. Ritzlak is very, very quiet, and Brooke very much makes up for the rest of his personality. But there's this strange odd couple going on here. He even notices and he goes, "Yeah, I know. It's strange to see a drow and a dwarf together, but this son of a bitch freed me from the mines deep in the Underdark, and he's a good friend."
That sounds like quite an adventure.
Oh, my friend, I think we've all had adventures, and you look around at this crazy riffraff of characters.
It is quite an eclectic crowd we have here.
I mean, as long as we try to keep each other alive, that's the main thing. I believe most of us can get our freedom. Well, I'm going to bed because I'm fucked. Good night.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty...
I'm fucked as well, I believe. I'm going to...
Yeah.
Hit the rock.
I think we've all got us feeling pretty much the same. I'm heading to bed.
Tyrius. As requested, it's bright and early. You feel the heat change in your living quarters. I wouldn't say quarters is a stretch. I would say your slice of room with bed in it.
Yeah.
You wake up at the crack of dawn, and it's, like you said earlier, you have that instinct to survive now. You do see a couple of others out there quite early too.
Okay.
You see Tristalan knocking arrows and practicing on his aim. You see a Valmerian that you didn't really notice too much of, Calavene pointed out the night before, called Platanus. And he's a Valmirian, very stoic, very much a loner. Not hateable, but he has a Valmirian arrogance. As you've dealt with Valmirians in the past, they just have a culture that they are smarter and more athletic and more capable than anyone else. It's...
From an equipment standpoint, like if I want to go grab something, is it in that room? Like,
yeah, you see...
a long sword?
Oh, yeah.
Like, how is the equipment?
Absolutely. There's racks. There's racks all along where the training dummies are against the compound wall. And you have a plethora of either metallic dulled-down weapons for training purposes or wooden weapons. And there's great hammers, short swords, bows, etc.
Yeah, so after I do like a bit of calisthenics to get myself kind of warmed up and ready, I grab a long sword and I'm going to practice basic swings, just nothing fancy, but just getting the balance down with the missing the arm and kind of going through the different techniques.
You probably spend a good 30 minutes, and just due to your current circumstance of what you went through for you don't know how long, months maybe, in that temple, your stamina levels are shocking.
Right.
You swing for 5 minutes and you feel like you've been swinging for 5 hours. But technique does voices of drill sergeants and time spent on battlefields on Gortide over in the Western Realms comes back to you as you reteach your body to calibrate to this one hand. And even for a swordsman like yourself, the weight of your hand that's missing, it puts everything off. Your vision is missing in one eye. Your depth perception is off.
Right.
Everything is off. And there's a few people that snigger as they walk past. They snicker at you and they're just like even you just hear someone say, what the fuck are they thinking? They just kind of walk past and they just see this old man just swinging. Well, not old, but this man in his 50s past his prime just...
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And you even miss the shield of a training dummy more than once. And it's
my first swing is my total whiff. I'm like, all right then. A little harder than I thought.
Greytox comes up bright and early. All right, line up. Everyone falls into line. And for you, Tyrius, you don't need to be told twice as your training as a soldier comes in. You fall into line. You try not to stand out. All right. Marching formations. It's time to go for a run, ladies. Gates open. And it's your stock standard run. Jay, you're up in your little clique with your boys. Tyrius, you're just running around the compound. There's like a dirt track that's been paved from probably generations of gladiators. This compact dirt of this trail that you take. You fall behind. I need you to make me a Constitution saving throw.
16.
Greytox falls back. If you can't take it, tell me and you can quit right now.
I look at him and I give him a little smirk and I say, not quite as hard as Solarian training, but you're doing a good job.
Oh, we got a smart ass. I love it. Now move it. Move that fucking smart ass of yours, boy. And this giant fucking Goliath is jogging with you, behind you. You guys continue your training. That was just the warm-up. And it's kind of like, Pat and Jay, you know this, our adventures in Thailand. You know that first day back? And everyone's just whipping you, man.
Oh, yeah.
Calavene, you are used to this. You're 2 months in at this point. Your body is on point, and you feel this newfound strength due to what happened in the arena recently. There's this resolve about you, your muscle density, everything. You feel unstoppable. I'm kind of alluding to the level up wink that you got.
Yeah.
He brings you in for morning exercises. All right, partner up. Calavene, take the new guy.
Gotcha.
Calavene, this is quite interesting. We have a serious dynamic between Tyrus and Calavene. Calavene, you have shot up the ranks of popularity in the arena. You are kind of seen as somewhat of the champion, despite your loss to Greytox. Losing to Greytox is a fucking honor. And everyone has changed their demeanor with you. And even Greytox has changed his demeanor with you to a degree. Kind of seeing as like the class president in some ways.
Yeah.
Alright, you two. You line up.
Yep.
It's just standard sparring. Roll me initiative.
Just hands?
Sword, whatever
Hand
weapon,
to hand?
whatever weapon preference you have.
Oh, okay. Yep.
4.
Oh, 20. Natural 20. What the? First roll.
Good
Damn it, wasted on initiative.
If anyone ever listens to this, or like, if anyone ever listens to this, like, it's fucking scripted this shit, and they just roll 20s whenever it's convenient.
Yeah. Those dice weighted?
Yeah.
What?
No, boys, I always trust you guys. That's what makes it fun. Well, Jay, you go first. Tyrus, you can, take the wheel here, dude. You know your character. You guys are in combat, so.
So,
Okay.
what are you? Do you have a? So we were on a run. We got back. We grabbed our weapons, or did we just come back from the run?
Yeah. You guys came back, and he let you collect whatever it is that you needed, and you knew, you kind of knew that you guys were going into a sparring session.
I have like one of the wooden swords. That's what I grabbed.
Sure.
for
Yeah.
sparring.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'll just go a wooden one-hand sword as well.
Okay.
D6s, I believe,
right.
gentlemen. Non-lethal.
D6 is non-lethal. Okay. And because they're wooden, they're based off of strength.
Look, in this unique...
Strength mod?
Strength mod. But you know what? In this unique situation, when you guys connect with each other, it's just 1 hit point. I mean, you're not swinging a kill.
Okay.
Unless you are.
Right.
But it's up to you.
Nah.
Just 1 hit point.
Nah, just
non-lethal.
training.
Just training.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alright. So I'm going for a hit, just to stand it across the chest to see...
First to
just
5.
to gauge something.
Yeah, first to 5.
Which is natural 18.
Nice hit.
That's a hit,
Okay,
was
so
it?
Yep. Yeah. Hit. So 1 hit point. Okay. So it gets me.
1? Yep. Just I look like a tap in the arm.
Yeah. Okay. And then, are you a fighter? Is that your class?
I'm a fighter class. Yep.
Yeah. Cool. So what are you, level 5 now, or?
Actually level 6. I've been playing for a while.
Okay. I gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. You got the extra attack, right?
Yeah, yep. I'll go for extra attack. Second
Alright.
one is 13.
Okay. Cool. Yep. All right. So another hit then.
Okay, yep. Alright, and that's it. I'm done. Got nothing else.
Okay. Well, Josh will back from those two hits. Alrighty, I'm going to come in for a thrust. I roll a 9.
Miss.
Okay, so I go forward with it, misjudge the depth perception. Alright, then I come back around for another swing. This time it's a non-natural 20. So
Hits.
no. Okay.
Got me.
So after my thrust, I kind of come back and come down on your shoulder and neck area with the sword.
Yeah.
Getting used to the missing hand.
Not bad, not bad. I'll go again for A 12. First attack is a 12. Second attack is a 18.
Okay, so the first one misses just barely. Second one connects.
Yep. And this one I go low. I go out for a hit on the thigh.
Ah, okay. All right. Around 9.
9.
Another miss. Yeah, another miss.
Yeah, another miss. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I slash across but don't connect. And then 17.
Hits.
Okay. So I swing one way and
Just-
then on my way back, I hit the belly.
Catch. Oh, the sensitive parts. Still feeling a bit bruised in my organs from the weekend.
Calavene, you do reel a little bit. Like, you don't expect it to hurt, especially where Greytox collected you in your ribs.
Yeah. So I kind of wince and take a step back. Okay. Last 2. Natural 1. So for this one, imagine I go for a swing and I'm wince in my stomach and just completely miss. And then second one is a 14.
Okay, the second one you connect.
Yeah. So I kind of stumble and miss and then just stab lunge to the chest.
You hear a voice call out, Calavene, get your head out of your ass!
I look over and I'm like, yeah. Yes, boss. Your turn. Yeah, that was it. That was my 2, yep.
Yeah, okay. Alright. 19.
Hits.
So I'm gonna. This time I go for the side of the head with the sword.
Yep.
And then after that, a natural 1. That's my second attack. So
Yeah.
I ever get hit high, glances off your head, and then I fall over and fuck up my total next swing. Back to my feet.
Alright.
You
Let's tie this up.
You see, as you go for that natural 1, Tyrius, you feel the hot flash of the Radiant Eye Priest. Just like you're taken back to that moment where you can't see, almost as if a migraine overtakes you. And your sword in this instance actually falls out of your hand, and hits the sand in front of Calavene.
Okay.
And you hear, not laughter, but sparring people near you are just like, oh, God.
Yeah, I stand, as he picks up his blade, I stand back and ready myself for my attacks. 2 5s, so both miss.
Okay.
So I guess I come at you. You move out the way.
I managed to move both.
Yeah.
10.
Miss.
Alright, 10, swing back. Nice, and then 25. Go ahead.
Definitely hits.
Yeah. So then I swing, kind of slash diagonally down, miss, and then come back the other way on the other shoulder, diagonally down. Back.
Yep.
Slowly regaining
Catch me
my
with a shot.
understanding of how to operate with this one hand.
Yeah. That's it. I can see it. I can see him getting better. And a 13 and an 18.
Okay, they both hit.
Tyrius, it's at this point, too, that you feel like your body, just due to what it's been through recently, the desert, the torture, you can keep going, but you feel like you might be at your limit. And it couldn't be a moment too soon as you see these swings about to come in at you. All right, it's time to hit the weights. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And everyone kind of puts their weapons away, and you make your way down. You can see some logs with some like cuts in them where you can lift them. You can see some stones, and you can see some makeshift like weights. You see some men holding these small boulders and doing squats. There's some very muscular, intimidating size people here. And Calavene, you kind of show Tyrius what's what. As we roll for dungeons and deadlifts.
Let's go.
On this note too, you do, Tyrius, you quite fatigued, and you're an older guy. You're in your 50s, even though you're a man of magic and sorcery. It's a toll to have this young buck come at you, and it's not that you're not capable. You need to get your strength back.
Right. Yeah.
You guys hit the weights, and I need you to make me a Constitution check, please, Tyrius.
4.
Calavene kind of shows you some squats with these logs. It's kind of overhead pulls as well, and just walking you through. Yeah. And Tyrius knows this stuff. It's not that you don't know it. You trained, and you kind of look down on this really crude gym equipment. Back in the Solar Empire, you guys had the best of the best, proper training halls and whatnot. You just crumble under the desert heat, under the weight, and it's almost psychological as much as it is physical. Though you are stoic in nature, though you are a veteran, you have been through a lot in this compounded couple of months. Not to mention, just before that, werewolf invasions.
We're fighting minotaurs.
Minotaurs, blight gods, dragons. Yep. You've been through a lot without any real reprieve, without a real sense of relaxation.
I think I literally just crumble. I get to the base of the squat, and I just one of those videos, the guy gets up in the deadlift and just falls over. It's like, oh shit, I think he's dead. I think we killed him.
Calavene, you do see this, and he looks like he's passing out.
I reach over there to make sure the stone isn't crushed him or landed on him or anything.
Appreciate it.
And is he passed out completely?
He's struggling. He's struggling. He's not out, but he looks like he could do with some water.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wait here, relax. And I go and grab some glass of water, or the skin of water or something.
I'm going anywhere.
As Calavene kind of darts off to get this water, you see that imposing barbarian-looking human again.
Yeah.
Huh. Let me kill him now and put him out of his misery.
When I get back, I look at Tugar, and I say, "Don't make me knock you out again."
Is that a challenge, whelp?
It might be.
And you see Greytox at this point. Tugar! That was your last warning. You have been warned again and again, and you humiliated us and Newick's in the arena. It is off to the maiden with you. Tugar just cuts fucking sick at this point, runs at Greytox, throws this large boulder at him, straight off like a shot put throw, throws this large boulder about 2 feet by 2 feet wide. Greytox, like a volleyball, knocks it out of the way into the wall behind him. As it kind of breaks and crumbles as it hits the stone wall, that fire, Jay, in his eyes, those red-hot coals in his eyes. Tugar runs at him. He jumps in the air and comes in with a Superman swing, like through the air. The 8-foot Goliath simply catches his throat in mid-air and slams him into the desert sand below. And you just hear, and he's just fighting. He's like a savage dog foaming from the mouth. Tugar. And Greytox just goes, "Good night, bitch." And
Savage doggy.
And he hits the bracelet. And you see Tugar just, and you've seen it before, Jay. Just this overwhelming, almost looks like lightning running through the barbarian's body as smoke starts to come off at this point. Slaves! Take him! Take him to the maiden! And teach this savage some manners! Tristalon just looks over it, kind of squats near you, Tyrius, as you're kind of like slumped on your back a little bit in the sand, and he gives you a jug of his water. Calavene, you return. Yes, Tugar. It was only a matter of time before he visited the maiden. Fool. Nobody, you get a feeling, Tyrius, nobody likes this guy.
Right.
Like,
that guy.
But he was that guy, and before that guy, it was Runark, the orc that came in with you, Calavene. But Runark's kind of calmed down a little bit. Tugar's that much of a dick that he just kind of make Runark look pleasant. Nobody's come at Greytox like that, and Greytox just reminded everybody why. There's a reason there's no
Don't
guards.
piss off the big man.
And that is a reason that there are no guards at the compound, because guards aren't necessary. All right. Get back to work.
Go back to do my stone lifts, like the Atlas stones.
Tristalon kind of throws a shoulder, an arm over his shoulder, and just leads you to that common area, Tyrius.
Yeah, I sit in the shade. I'm like,
Tristalon kind of looks at you, and he kind of jests, and he's like, "Oh, my friend, I had the same thing happen when I came here." And he just kind of chuckles a little bit.
like it's been a harrowing journey, to say the least. My life.
These
I don't even bother explaining what my past is.
Again, you see Tristalon make eye contact with you, and you can see the burdens of a warrior in him too. You have a feeling that everyone you've met here has a story to tell, and he acknowledges your pain almost passively, as if there's an unwritten understanding there, and he goes, "Yes, I don't know about you, but these sands have taken a lot from me as well. And I plan to take them back." And he kind of he kind of leaves you there in the shade as he goes back.
Yeah. And I'm just sipping on water at that point. I'm going to let my body recover.
Greytox makes his way over to you after a moment. "Feel free to take the broom any time, holy man." And he walks off. Just doing his job.
Yep.
Nothing new to Tyrius. This is the thing.
Right. Yeah, it's like, I know what you're doing.
Yeah. The day goes by, as does another. And another. And another. Greytox makes his way to you, Calavene, during the week. And in that time, you've had visits to Nameless. You know, Greytox comes out, and on one of these particular instances, when he's out at the stable with you, he goes, "This is coming straight from Nuix. As you know, Brook and Ritzlak were one of our duos in the arena. They were very profitable. And until Brook is fully recovered, we need a replacement team. I don't know what Nuix is thinking, but it's not my place to judge his business strategies. But you'll be fighting alongside the Paladin in the arena this weekend.
Alright.
Just keep him alive. I personally don't think he's up for it. I'm not saying he wasn't up for it in the past. But I don't know what you're up against. I'll try to give you a tactful edge, but those are the rules. Even we don't know what you guys are up against. That's what makes it interesting. But
I understand.
I
get it.
You're getting teamed up with him to pick up the slack. I mean, the guy's missing a fucking eye and a fucking hand. He's not even good to be a slave.
Let's see what he's got first.
I agree, but just try to keep him alive.
You got it.
There's a lot riding on this, apparently. That's all I know. And we haven't got any new information about Nuix's rival either. When I know, you know, and we'll be having a little training camp.
Okay.
Yeah. All I know is that it's a personal grudge against this. Yeah, anyway. There's a lot to unpack there, and it's not my place to say. Anyway.
No, it's not mine to ask.
You kind of have Nameless in your arms at that point, and he's kind of licking your face, and you guys can play. Great Ox takes you back to the compound. And, I guess it's in your best interest to get to know your new partner. And he kind of leaves you for
that. I can do.
He leaves you for the evening as the food's being put on. Tyrius, there has been improvement. Hot meals, a real bed. Even in the last 3 to 4 days, you felt strength come back to you. But being an older man, it's a little bit slower than in your heyday.
Right.
But you can feel it come back. Visions of the Radiant Priest plague your mind sometimes in your sleep. You know he's done something to you. You don't know to what capacity. But being inside your mind like that has marked you in some way.
Okay.
Just,
that makes sense.
Yeah, nothing severe, no vivid visions or...
Yeah.
But you still have to question what's real at times.
Okay.
Reality is still a bit of this shattered mirror at the moment to you.
Yeah.
Calavene, you re-enter the compound and you see Tyrius practicing, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I approach. I say, good thing you put in all this practice. Guess what news I've got?
What's
We're
that?
buddies in the arena.
No.
Means you and me
How soon?
be partnering up and versing whatever they throw at us. It's
When is
because,
this to
you know,
happen?
the dwarf, they're replacing us. Us will be the new team. Because there was Ritzlak, the drow, and Brunak, the dwarf. They were the power duo. And I guess that's us now.
Interesting. They put the new person in with the veteran. Is that common?
Could be. I could be balancing out. But I get a feeling you got a lot more in the tank than you show. But we'll see, I guess.
No, I once did. When will this happen? Like,
Well, arenas are on the 6th day, so Saturday, you could say.
let's see.
So
And
we
they roll
train
the days, you know?
all through the week. That's a few days. What day is it, Lee? It's Thursday?
Yeah, it's the
You said
equivalent...
a few days has passed?
It's equivalent of... I just, I think Pat knows this. I don't give days any names just because because of a fantasy setting. So just it would be it would be 4th day.
Okay. So we have like 2 days to go. All right.
Got a couple days.
What I'm gonna Yeah, okay. Then what I'm gonna make sure I can still do, Leroy, is I'm gonna practice like casting some spells, like doing a smite on the dummies. Seeing if I can use some of the mind spells I have, even if I don't actually cast the mind spell, because obviously I couldn't do it on a dummy. But if I could get the feeling like, okay, I'm able to do this to somebody because I haven't done it in a while. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. As Calavene kind of leaves you to your ends, you start to summon the energy for a wrathful smite.
Yeah.
The blade kind of hums. And of course it's your wrathful smite, so aesthetically it looks however you choose.
Right, yep.
It's funny, though, as you go to use your psionic abilities in particular.
Yeah.
Then the collar starts to hum a little bit.
Yep.
As if it's reacting.
Okay.
You manage to use the smite, and you seem safe. But your psionic abilities, you can feel it humming as you're starting to use it.
Okay.
You use the psionic ability, you don't suffer damage, but it just hums.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
You noticed this too, Jay, when you unleashed your hellish rebuke. You felt a hum.
If we try to direct it at. Okay, I got you.
Tyrius has figured it out. That's canon. Tyrius has the thought.
Okay, all right. Yeah. So safe to use it on the designated targets only, but if you try to fucking
do you know what?
Fireball Grey Tux's ass, it's gonna end you.
On that note too, and I'll give you this one for free, Pat. Tyrius has, his senses have come back to him, and you're feeling a lot more like yourself the last couple of days. This collar, this is Solarian tech.
Okay.
You've used these on people before that you've apprehended.
As an Inquisitor. Okay. Cool.
I mean, every setting has their version of this, so
yeah,
who am I to break the rules, right?
It's a great plot device,
It's fantastic. You know what? As a DM, you can't use magic.
I try to run for it again, like fuck off.
It's like
back of the head. No, you don't.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I love it too. I love it too, dude, because it's just like DM says no.
Yeah. DM says no collar, so fuck off.
Yeah, he goes, anyway. DM says no prison breaks. What is it? We should say choo-choo, because choo-choo, Jay, means like railroading. Like, it's like, look, for now, guys, I mean, I think we all know there's this unwritten meta rule of like, look, where this is like the prequel, I'm getting you guys on track for where you need to be. Choo-choo! Yeah, it's like, it's like I kind of have to force you a little bit, but yes.
Makes sense. All right.
What Tyrius feels is like, of course, I can use my abilities, but maybe not on my masters.
Yeah, only how they want me to.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Alrighty, 2 days then. All right, well, I go, after I kind of figure that out, I chase him back down, and I'm like, I think we might want to practice together, learn our abilities and what we bring to the table, and then maybe practice on the dummy. Or is that someone has mentioned a golem? Would we be able to practice fighting together on that golem? Do you know if that's
the golem?
That, or is that something the higher ups decide?
let me have a chat to Greytox. I think it's best. The sooner we can start, the better.
Agreed. Thank you.
Alright, I'll go check.
Greytox is leaving for the day, and you track him down just as he goes to leave the compound. Yeah, not a problem. I'll get it up and running for you and the Paladin tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll pencil you in for a time. We'll get that thing going, get the dust off it anyway.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
Alright, see ya. He leaves.
See ya. Yeah, so I can't actually remember the golem, the stone. I don't remember that fight, even though
when you first came. Jay,
there.
this was, and for you too, Pat, this was like 2.5 years ago before I restarted Calavene with Jay. So it was one of the last things you did before you fought the gargoyle. When you first came to the compound, you did a training match. Greytox wanted to see what you were capable of. And he put you up against it. No one's ever defeated Archie, the nickname of the golem. No one's defeated it, and you're using blunt weapons as well. But it is literally just this kind of stone golem that is used for exactly Tyrius's purposes. You do fight creatures much larger than you. Archie stands at about 10 feet tall. He kind of dwarfs the Goliath. And he hits hard as fuck, but he can be, when Greytox uses him, it's like an extension of Greytox fighting. So, Greytox you've seen it before, Jay, Greytox will either use him unarmed, without weapons, or simulate a creature to a degree for you.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I'm fucking stoked.
Yeah, this is really cool.
I'm super excited.
Yeah, like
having an additional person is really neat.
Yeah, man, like, look, I've got a good friend of mine in you, Pat, and I've got my brother, and it feels like the Infinity Gauntlets are coming together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm Thanos, and, I'm trying to get you guys together, and just, for me, just being able to sit back and just watch you guys... It's fucking...
I noticed that at some point. I was like, oh, Leroy's loving this.
Oh, man, I was just sitting back. I love it too, where it's like, yeah, you guys fight. Like, you guys do some shit. Hey there, I just want to say thank you for tuning into the Kratorian Chronicles podcast, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.